Hello, and thank you for joining us for the 2025 Meraki Fall Fest. We're very happy to be with you today. Have a lot of good detail for you. Joining me today, I have the fabulous Mark Jacobs from Cisco. He's a systems engineer over there. Hey, Mark. And we have Skylar O'Donnell. He's a senior sales engineer on my team. Hey, Skylar.
Hey, Aaron.
And Chasen. He's our senior technical specialist here at D&H as well, and he's going to help us out with some stuff too. Hey, Chasen.
How's it going, Aaron?
All right. So, in addition to some amazing fall weather, at least where I am here in the Northeast, we have some new products to cover today, updated features, and some key security components that have been added to both the software and hardware side of things for Meraki. So a lot of good stuff to cover. We do have a Q&A section. It'll be in a box somewhere on your screen here. Go ahead and add some questions there. We'll answer those live at the end. We have a few poll questions we'll send out too. We just kind of want to see where folks are at, our partners, and where you're at in your business, and some of these products themselves. So we'll send those out along the way too. But without further ado, we have a lot to cover today, so I want to jump right in with some content. And we're going to start with Chasen. There's some new support on the 9200 Catalyst side of things. Tell us about that.
Hey, thanks, Aaron. Glad to kick us off here today. Hello, everyone. I am here to share some new additions to the Meraki switching portfolio that I want to talk about. Although they might be familiar to some of you from the Cisco side, these are brand new to the Meraki management side of things. Introduced just a little over a month ago, the C9200L-M models are now live and can be natively purchased with their own dedicated SKUs through procurement. The Catalyst 9200s are already a staple in the Cisco network deployments, and now they're being brought into the Meraki ecosystem so that you can offer day zero simplicity with cloud management right out of the box. These are meant to be lightweight and cost effective, and to help flesh out the Meraki switching lineup that we currently offer. These are also meant to use traditional Meraki licensing and subscription licensing types. So if you're used to dealing with those, these will feel right at home for you. What you can expect from these models joining the Meraki family is hardware specs in line with the existing C9200L Catalyst models. These will be offered in both 24 and 48 port models with features like layer 3 capabilities, options for M-Gig copper ports up to 10 gigabytes, perpetual PoE and fast PoE, larger PoE budgets up to 1440 watts with 30 watts per port, dual hot swappable power supplies for redundancy, uplink options ranging from 1 gig to 10 gig and even up to 25 gig on some of the select models that will be moving to the Meraki side, and physical stacking with up to 80 gig bandwidth, up to 5 in a stack right now, for now. And similar to the 9300M models that previously were moved over to the Meraki management side of things as an offering, these are also powered by iOS XE, so they will support the cloud CLI terminal hosted right on your Meraki dashboard, just like the 9300s. So where do we actually see these fitting into the current lineup of Meraki switches that are offered? Right now, they're in a position between the MS150 and 9300s to fill a space for flexible and resilient branch networking options, but lean a little bit closer to the MS150s. They might resemble some similar specs to the 150s, but can help fill out some use cases that the 150s might not specifically fit into. Where we like to offer and where we see the 150s right now is if a customer is looking for a cost-effective UPoE option. Situations where higher PoE up to 60 watts is needed to power high demand devices like IP cameras and more power hungry Wi-Fi 7 APs. This is also where some of the options with the 5 gig M-Gig ports on the MS150s come into play to support those same type of devices. The MS150s are also a great cost-effective entry-level stacking option for somebody that wants to get into physical stacking versus the virtual stacking that the dashboard already offers, and are ideal for budget-conscious deployments that still require a little bit of scalability with those additional switches in the stacks. Now, where we see the 9200Ls moving over, we want to position them in situations where there's a need for maybe more higher total PoE budgets compared to the MS150s, and where the 1440 watts can come into play for simplified deployments while still powering more devices than maybe the 150s could offer, even if it's not at the same level of PoE like the UPoE. This is also for cases where they might need to handle higher bandwidth applications and future growth, ideal for heavy data, video, or dense traffic access points and different applications of the such, or similarly. Situations where additional layer 3 capabilities are needed, such as OSPF and router port to provide more control and scalability and advanced performance for the layer 3 switching side of things. And lastly, in deployments where resiliency is needed and the hot swappable power supplies can help ensure power redundancy and uninterrupted operations in environments where network availability is pretty much non-negotiable. You don't want to have to deal with one of them going down and being kind of left out to dry. Overall, these devices are intended for mid-sized enterprise businesses operating over a wide range of industries like education, retail, financial services, professional services, and healthcare, just to name a few. They can also be great for any existing Meraki MS customers that are maybe looking to just upgrade to higher performance devices than what they currently have, maybe for some older end-of-life devices that they want to upgrade where the 9200 fits the bill, while still retaining that management platform and experience of the Meraki dashboard that we all know have come to love. So these are going to be some great additions to the current lineup that Meraki is offering, along with the other ones that are pretty much shown here. So we look forward to see how people will be using them in the future. Aaron, I'll toss it right back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. So a lot of good stuff going on there. As we've seen over time, Cisco started with the C9300 switches being dual compatible with both Meraki and the Catalyst DNA side of things. And that's moving up and down the stack at this point. So ultimately, we end up with unified hardware between the two platforms on a cloud service and an on-prem service with the same hardware. So that gives you the opportunity to potentially convert those if you need to move from one system to the other at some point. But also just gives that extra hardware capability across the board. Exciting as well, we have some new switches that came out just recently. Skylar, tell us about the new 9350 smart switches.
Hi, Aaron. Thanks. I'm really excited to talk about this new unified series of smart switches that works on either Cisco or Meraki. They're very neat. They kind of are borrowing from the wireless side where you started to see the 9167, the 9164s, the 9176s, where they can essentially be dual persona and essentially you get to choose which persona you prefer, whether you want the kind of granularity of on-prem with Cisco or you want kind of that flexibility and ease of management with Meraki, which is one of the great things. They come up with a lot of really great new features. One of them is a more powerful ASIC with that essentially allows them to have more security capabilities, like quantum ready, post quantum, crypto capable crypto modules, which I know is a mouthful, but essentially what I'm saying is the security modules on these are already ready for that post kind of quantum world when typical crypto means are easily broken by quantum computers. They've also kind of gone with a more user-centric design. They've brought some really cool new features to these switches. Unlike the prior generation of the C9300s and 9300Ls, these actually have the ability to use 3 power supplies, which allow you to have a larger PoE budget for those that need an additional bit of power for those new Wi-Fi 7 deployments or any kind of IoT deployment. It also allows you to essentially have an additional layer of redundancy where you have that additional power supply there to back you up just in case. The other cool thing they've kind of changed with the power supplies is they've stolen a page from kind of our data center side with the Nexus series, where they've actually allow you to the ability to choose the airflow on the newer models. So you can either choose port side intake or port side exhaust, which I think is really cool. It actually allows you to properly build a data center with hot and cold aisles, which prior it wasn't as easy to do because you didn't have as many options. And power essentially is not the only thing that got an upgrade. Cisco has also upgraded stacking with new stacking cables, flexible stacking architectures, which allow you to essentially plug in the stacking cables however you want, as long as you essentially create a loop. And the stacking cables and flexibility actually allow you to, the new ones, allow you to reach a stack size of up to 12 switches, which is essentially 4 more than the 9300 series. So building on quite a bit more port density where you just couldn't before. And the stacking backbone throughput is all the way up to 1.6 terabits per second. Quite a bit faster. As you can kind of see on the graphic, they really are moving into the next gen for the uplink speeds. That 25 gig is 11025, so it's not limited just to that, but it really is kind of future-proofing you and getting you ready for those AI networks of the future. There are a few other really cool innovations. If you're interested in hearing any more of those, please reach out to our engineering team. I'd love to kind of get into a deep dive with any of you. There's lots of really cool stuff they've added to these and additional functionality. They do use a new licensing style called the Cisco networking subscription. Our buddy Mark from Cisco is going to talk about it here in just a few minutes. And so I'll go ahead and send it back to Aaron to kind of get us kicked off on some more new hardware.
Yeah, thank you, Skylar. Yeah, very excited about that new line of switches, both some hardware features and software features built into these. So Cisco continues to round out the product line overall. I'm going to push one more poll question out to everybody, and then we're going to move over to Mark here. We've had smart switches. Now we're going to move into the smart routers with some great capability on board and some new management options. Mark, tell us about those.
Yeah, Aaron, thank you for the invite. Really excited to talk about these new products here. So what we're going to be talking about is our new Cisco 8000 Cisco Secure Router. So before I get into the speeds and feeds and details, I'll kind of give you an idea what's new with this new solution, right? So first, I think one of the most exciting new features is these new secure routers are designed for AI and ML or machine learning workloads, right? We'll talk a little bit about those details and what you kind of get with that new ASIC. And then, of course, high performance throughput. All these new routers come with increased throughput all the way from 1 gig to 10, 25, 40 to 100 gig. Another really, really exciting feature, and this is kind of future-proofing our solutions for us, is the post-quantum secure cryptography. And this really adapts to the evolving threats that we continue to see in the network and in our security silos. Another really exciting feature is, this exciting topic around DevOps and branch as a code, right? So these new secure routers is really going to accelerate those deployments where you are using branch as a code or any open APIs for that matter. So I'll kind of dig into these specific details, but at a high level, right, we have 4 different categories of new secure routers. We have the small branch, we have medium branch, large branch, and I kind of categorize campus and data center as our aggregation routers. So, very easy. When you think of the small branch, I immediately think of 1 gig, right? So this is going to give you 1 gig routing throughput and 1 gig throughput on security services turned on. So if you have threat protection turned on, you don't lose any of that throughput when turning that service on. So really good thing there. All the 8100s, there's 4 models. There's 8130, 8140, 51, and 61. All these 4 models are going to be completely fanless. They have a fixed I/O. They come with PoE features and exciting feature with a backup with 5G. So this has a option for a SIM card availability where you can do some redundancy or a backup on your WAN with 5G. And then all of the routers come with ThousandEyes. So, and that's how we kind of classify insurance and visibility, analytics, threat detection and resolution all comes out of ThousandEyes. So that's kind of a summary of our 8100s. The next router up from the 8100s are going to be our 8200s. Now, our 8200 start at the 1 gig throughput level with security services turned on, but the 8235 G2 model comes with 2.5 gig with services turned on. Again, these are going to be fanless. The differences between the 8100 and 8200. 8200 comes with two 10 gig E ports, first of its kind in our routers, and then flexible layer 2, layer 3 support, and as well as the 5G and Thousand Eyes features built into these routers. The next one up is the 8300s. So the 8300s, again, have the two variants. We have the 8355 and the 8375, both G2s. And this is going to give you a throughput about 4 gig with security services turned on, and then 7 gig on the 8375 G2. Again, completely fixed. This is where some modules come into play. So if we have a SIM module, a different network module, and you need that modularity in a router, the 8300 is going to be the perfect fit for you. So last but not least are what we call aggregation secure routers. So these are going to be the 8400s and 8500s. There's a couple different variants of the 8400s. So we have an 8455 and the 8455-MX. And like Aaron and Skylar said, right, I'll talk more about this, but we're coming up with unified licensing, unified hardware. So it doesn't matter where you want to manage it. You buy the hardware and you decide from there. And then the 8475 G2, this is really going to bump you up to 11 gig with security services turned on. And then 8550 comes with 48 gig with services turned on. And the big beefy data center aggregation router, the 8500 or 8570, I should say, is around 60 gig of throughput. So big, bad, and beefy. Definitely future-proofing your router solutions here when you definitely pick one of these new Cisco secure routers. And I think I'll talk about next, if you want to switch slides here, Aaron.
You got it.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. This is very exciting, right? Cisco Secure Networking Processor. So this processor is built into all the models I just mentioned. But why are we announcing this processor, right? And this is really all around quantum. So why does WAN need to be quantum safe, right? We need to probably answer that question first to figure out what benefits the secure network processing is going to bring to the table. So the big one is there's this kind of attack mythology where hackers kind of harvest data today now. They'll gain access to the data, and then they'll hold on to it and then decrypt later when a more powerful, cheaper quantum processor is released. So that's kind of one big one. Harvest now, decrypt later is what hackers are doing with some of this data. And then another big push is regulatory compliance, right? These industry standard compliancy like NIST and NSA and CISA or CISA, these regulatory compliances are coming up with quantum regulations and requirements that we need to have in our networks to have a safe, secure WAN. And that's another big one. And then another one is this SD-WAN, VPN, SASE, they all depend on crypto, right? So if this processor comes out and you have a less secure VPN connection, let's say, that new crypto processor will definitely decrypt any encryption that's on that less secure VPN, if you will. Right. So this is a big benefit coming to our 8,000 routers. And, if anyone asks you one of the biggest differentiators of these new Cisco routers, it is the secure network processor that is homegrown, built from Cisco, and we manufacture it all. So a huge differentiator when it comes to the processor or the hardware embedded into these routers. So I'll talk a little bit about the specifics here. So on this slide here, so from a security perspective, again, at a high level, this is going to really integrate security and networking. Right now, from a networking perspective, networking and security are in different silos. They're managed differently, probably have different platforms of management. But this is the beginning to really consolidate those two silos into one, right? So on the security side, this is all inline crypto acceleration on the chip itself. So we're not taking that data anywhere else on the network. We are decrypting, encrypting on the box itself. Another really big feature is now we are embedding our Cisco secure firewall in all of our secure routers. So if you're familiar with our firepower devices or old ASA devices, and you want more flexibility, let's say you want to incorporate it into the router or have the single pane of glass and management, you can do all the secure firewall acceleration and configuration and management within our routers. And then the networking side, right? So this is a really big point that I want to make. Because of this new secure networking processor really enables these routers to have these big throughput bandwidths, right? So we're starting at a gig on our low end, but we can go all the way to 100 gig on our aggregation secure routers. So if you have those big beefy WAN pipes, or even from an AI perspective, right? You're taking data from the data center to a branch and vice versa. That data has to be over a huge pipe, and those aggregation routers are going to be a perfect fit for that. So I definitely recommend kind of getting in deeper on some of the specific details, because this really is a huge differentiator in our Cisco WAN technologies today.
That's some huge news there. Getting up to 60 gig on the router. We're going from 1 gig to 60 gig. Broad range there on the Meraki or Cisco side of things now, but there's some Meraki news to go with it too. I'll leave that for you.
Yeah, good point, and that's actually a perfect way to kind of segue to our next slide. So yes, Aaron, absolutely. So I think partners and customers have been kind of saying this for years, right? We're two different separate entities, or two separate different businesses. We have two different solutions, and Meraki, it's all cloud-based, and DNA Center with our Catalyst, right? So we've heard our customer and partner feedback loud and clear, and this is kind of our first approach of really simplifying not only the procurement of our hardware and software, but the management and the deployment of all of our Cisco portfolio, right? This is where unified licensing comes into play. So today, you can truly buy unified hardware. That means Catalyst or Meraki, and then pick your licensing. So that's either cloud on the Cisco dashboard or Meraki dashboard, or on-prem with Catalyst Center, or hybrid of both, right? So let's say, you have Meraki, let's say for your switches and wireless, and you're using Catalyst Center for routing, and you want data to transfer between a dashboard and your on-prem environment. We can definitely do that with the unified licensing now. So it doesn't really matter how you use it, where you use it, it's gonna work, and you'll be supported from a licensing perspective. In addition to that, we've added unified support, right? And this is kind of following that same methodology, right? Consistent and reliable product support in the network subscription for all of the hardware, all the software that you purchase today. So we're trying to make it easy. We are trying to simplify. We've heard the partner feedback loud and clear, and this is kind of the first approach to that solution. So this was launched officially in June. All of our Cisco hardware, the new Cisco hardware is compatible with the unified licensing. So any old hardware that you might have would not be compatible, unfortunately. So when you are buying new hardware, definitely look at the unified license. It'll make your life, your customer's life, extremely a little bit easier, I guess, than the past. So that is unified licensing in a nutshell. Anything I missed there, Aaron? I can continue.
No, I think we covered pretty well there. Do you want to speak to this slide, or?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think you covered a lot of that too. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I did cover a lot of it. This is kind of really just putting in a quick summary. So when you're talking to your customers, if you don't remember anything about the unified licensing, remember these 3 bullets, right? It's going to really maximize your network capabilities, because we don't really care what hardware you have or how you're managing it. We just want you to have the outcome that you need. And if that's cloud, that's great. If that's on-prem, that's even better, right? So really, really simplifying our network capabilities for our partners and customers. And second, it's really going to enhance the network operations, right? Again, this has been a really pain point of ours, where, you know, Cisco Meraki has been known as simple, easy. Cisco Talos has been known as complex. But we're trying to kind of give you options, right? I think options are important. So if you have a admin or a SOC engineer that's a veteran, he's been, you know, doing threat detection for years, and he's comfortable with a little bit more complex, then bring him to Catalyst Center and have that as his main kind of threat protection platform. But if you have a new guy, he's a rookie, just hired him from college, you want us to use the Meraki dashboard, that's absolutely fine too. So you have options. And this is really, at the end of the day, is going to protect your network investment. We want you to have complete return on investment on any Cisco hardware that you buy, along with the software that's on top of it. So hopefully you guys see that we are trying to make actions and execute on this solution. I'm really simplifying anything from procurement to operations to management of your Cisco enterprise networking solutions. So with that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
All right, yeah. So we've, you know, in the background of Cisco, we've seen in so many ways they've been unified. So we have the Talos, which is the backbone structure for everything to do with security. It's a massive database and security researchers that you know, help identify threats and malware, and that's in every product. So that's just natively there. Well, now we're bringing it to the forefront on the purchasing side too, where it's a unified, you know, face to the world, where we have unified hardware, unified software, and that unified support. So we're, you know, not going different places for different things. They're really trying to simplify things into the market now as well, as you know, what they've done in the background, just to, you know, make their whole platform and portfolio work together. And now with that, we have some very exciting stuff on the AI side of things. You know, AI sometimes out in the market right now is fluff. Everyone's, you know, they want to put AI here, put AI there, get your AI beanbag. You know, so some of it's fluff, but we have today some really good stuff that is actually useful. It will help, you know, it'll add tangible and easy to use AI at your fingertips to enhance a lean team, especially. So we're going to cover, you know, or Skylar's going to cover Meraki AI Agent Assurance and some AI RRM. So with that, I hand it over to you, Skylar.
Thanks, Aaron. Yes, this is something I'm really excited to talk about, because I think that Cisco and Meraki have added AI in a really tangible way, where I think some of the other vendors haven't necessarily, and they've tried to add it in a way that makes it very easy to use. The first one we're going to talk about today is the Meraki AI Agent. If any of you, and I would assume most of you, have used ChatGPT or Claude or one of the various models out there, really kind of what Meraki is trying to do with the AI agent is, and Cisco, is essentially create a conversational AI interface that allows admins to interact with the AI with everyday language and perform a number of different functions, all directly from kind of the prompt. And that does give a good, pretty good representation of what the AI assistant looks like. Essentially, they've designed it to help you with network support, configuration, and troubleshooting for Meraki dashboard environments. And some of the features that it can help with are answering questions about Meraki products, features, what best practices are, providing step-by-step guidance for configuration and deployment tasks, retrieving live data about your network devices, clients, or connectivity issues that might be ongoing, summarizing documentation and offering links to official Meraki resources if you're unsure about something you may be working on, assisting with troubleshooting by analyzing client and device events. And we'll talk a little bit more about that during the Meraki assurance section right after this. And then it does predictive analytics where it can help anticipate maintenance needs and potential failures and help optimize the network performance before those issues arise. Its capabilities are limited to the Meraki dashboard related essentially support, and it does not retain any information from previous conversations. So it is a little different from ChatGPT and some of those other services that you may have used, Copilot, in terms of that. It is currently in beta or early access with no additional licensing required at this time. It can be enabled under early access when they opt in for the AI widget, and you should be able to get access to it. I know we do have it set up on our personal lab, and we also have, if you use the Meraki Launchpad at all for demos, it is properly set up there. And then I already mentioned it once, but Meraki Assurance, and there's a poll question. Please answer if you have time. But Meraki Assurance is essentially a platform that is designed to help network administrators understand and monitor the overall health of their network across the entire Meraki stack, which includes, MS, MX, MR devices, the new Catalyst devices, MG, MV, essentially everything out there. And its main goal is to provide a unified view of the network health, enabling quick identification and troubleshooting of problematic areas, and ultimately improving both administrator and endpoint user experience, all built into the standard license. So you don't need anything at all at this time. It is all just built into the base license. Essentially, what Meraki does is take and analyze your historic data as well as compare it against similar environments in Cisco's giant data lake to determine kind of how things are going. And since Meraki typically retains about a month of data, you can even go back in time and see your essentially assurance or Meraki health at any of those given times. So if anyone ever comes to you with a ticket saying, hey, last week I was at a meeting and I was having issues with the Wi-Fi or something along those lines, you can actually go back to that point in time and see exactly what was going on and say, hey, that was just a DHCP issue. There were too many people in the network. I'll have to increase the, IP scheme or, something along those lines. So their goal is really to give you real-time network insights and monitoring, including all essentially the network logs. So you just get only the data you need when you need it. And then, of course, with everything Meraki, it gives you application visibility and diagnostics to kind of help pinpoint those issues. And there's actually a dedicated assurance overview page out there that essentially summarizes all the health. So if you've not used it, I highly recommend checking it out. It's all built into your default Meraki licensing. If you're not currently on Meraki or not a Meraki partner and interested to see what it would look like, Cisco actually does have a platform called vCloud where they give access to essentially a full Meraki dashboard where you can kind of play around and see what you can do. And then I think the coolest thing that they've added in recent memory, and we've even been getting a lot of questions from customers that have used this in the beta, is Meraki AI RRM, or Radio Resource Management. It's essentially an advanced Meraki assurance feature that uses AI and machine learning to optimize wireless radio settings such as channel selection, transmit power, and channel width across your entire network. Some of the benefits include proactive intelligent RF optimization using historic data, reducing co-channel interference and improving signal-to-noise ratio, minimizing changes during peak busy hours to maintain stable connections. So it can tell whenever people are or are not using it from the historic data, and it'll only kind of make those changes during off hours. So essentially no one is affected as you're going through everything. It also simplifies RF management for administrators, even those with minimal RF expertise. And for larger environments, it's no simple task to kind of manage that, especially on like the 2.4 gigahertz band, where essentially you have 3 channels, really, where you can kind of move between them. So you can affect interference. So it can be really helpful, especially if you're not familiar with kind of channels and RF at all, or even for those that are, very into it. I know I'll talk about this in a few moments, but Cisco did test this and has seen huge increases in network efficiency over that time. And then kind of the other cool thing is for those newer Wi-Fi 6 and 7 access points that have the flexible radio assignment with the 6 gigahertz band, it can actually take over that management for ease of use and handle the switching between 5 gigahertz and 6 manually. So I'm sure you're asking, how does Meraki determine what the AIRRM should do? Meraki uses several criteria. RF health is one of those principles. It was essentially created by principal wireless engineers at Cisco and debuted in about 2018 as the RF health algorithm. RF health is calculated from 9 distinct RF metrics, with the overall score being determined by the worst performing metric. At the bottom, you can kind of see some of those examples, such as network interference, noise, and client connectivity issues. It also looks at co-channel interference, which can cause slowness, disconnects, and unreliability. And it essentially evaluates the co-channel interference by measuring the impact score, which is essentially network based on machine learning, the highest co-channel interference by decibels, and essentially the duty cycle of the interferer to determine, if it's just a random device, if it was something new to the environment, if it's something that's always there, if it is a wireless, if it's a malevolent actor or something like that. And essentially it analyzes all this and the long-term trends and patterns and runs a bunch of simulations on everything and all the new settings in an attempt to find a more optimal configuration across the entire network, at which point it does all that without removing, essentially what I just talked about, without removing the active configuration. And then once it's determined an overall better setup, it will then deploy that setup in off hours. When Meraki studied it, they actually found that AIRRM was able to improve network performance and efficiency by over 40% over the course of a month. Its first month it was enabled. It is currently in general access. It was just released for those of you using it in beta, and it does require the Meraki advanced licensing to use. And with that, back to you, Aaron.
All right. Yeah. So a lot of good, helpful things that'll, save a network admin some time. I saw a demo of the AIRRM, and it was just absolutely impressive what it was able to do there. If you haven't yet, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the Q&A. We have one more section here and a couple demos for you, and then we're going to jump into the Q&A and answer any of your questions that you have and kind of dig into things even a little bit more. But with that, Skylar, we have Meraki Access Manager. That's another one that's being released in the coming month. Tell us about that.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm really excited about this. So Cisco Access Manager is a cloud-delivered access control service integrated into the Meraki dashboard. It enables organizations to manage network access for users and endpoints without needing an external Radius server. So think of Meraki's version of ICE, although it does integrate with ICE. It does have some similar features. Access Manager essentially leverages the Meraki cloud infrastructure to simplify deployment, reduce costs, and streamline management. Some of the big features of it are centralized management from a single dashboard, reducing complexity and troubleshooting effort for kind of all things authentication. It also eliminates the need for external Radius servers, VPN tunnels, and load balancing to manage user authentication. It's also very scalable and highly available, supporting growth in users and endpoints. As with everything Meraki, it receives automatic updates, new features, and security patches as your subscription continues. And it supports zero trust adoption and micro-segmentation via adaptive policy for those of you using advanced licensing on your switches or wireless. And one of the cool things is it can integrate with ICE or with third-party identity providers, including Microsoft Entra ID or Azure AD for context-based authorization. This enables admins to deploy conventional access across VLANs, ACLs without any extra integrations. It also securely manages endpoints like IoT devices using MAC authentication, or essentially MAC authentication bypass or MAB. It'll be releasing here in just about a month. I think it's about mid-November, although I could be wrong about that. We're going to take a quick look at the demo, and there gives a good kind kind of chain of the events for authorization. It also shows some of the identity providers that are available. But now we're going to go ahead and jump to a use case demo. I have two of them if we have time. The first one will demonstrate securing managed endpoints with a username and password authentication, i.e. TLS and Entra ID. I think there'll be a poll that'll probably pop up, and then you will see the video start. With that, I hope everyone enjoys the demo. During this simulation, we will be securing managed endpoints with username password authentication against Entra ID. With username password-based authentication against Entra ID, you can control network access based on user identity, as seen in the following architecture on the screen. First, an endpoint would connect with the username and password. The network device would then forward the authentication and other accounting details to Access Manager. Access Manager would then perform user authentication against the configured Entra ID. After a successful authentication, a user lookup is performed in the synced Entra ID store to retrieve user group and attributes for that user. The session will then be evaluated against configured rules and matching authorizations such as VLANs or security group tags, which is then sent back to the network device for enforcement. This simulation will start on the Access Manager users page where you can configure your Microsoft Entra ID. As shown in the users table, we have already synced users from an existing Entra ID integration, Meraki Nation-Entra ID. At the top, you can see synchronizations can be performed either automatically or manually. In this demo specifically, we will be focusing on the username Elijah McCoy at MerakiNation.net, which is part of sales and Launchpad groups. So let's navigate to the Access Manager rules and take a look at the access rules now. So you see a list of rules there. We're going to look at the Entra ID group sales rule. The rule details reveals some of the matching conditions are as follows. First, that the identity source needs to be Meraki Nation-Entra ID, and it needs to match both Launchpad and sales groups, which hopefully you can see highlighted there, and the match all selection. And I'm just going to scroll down a little so you can see everything on the page. But the authorization section here indicates that for any matching session of VLAN 10, which hopefully you can see beside the checkbox, and an adaptive policy group sales tag or SGT 18 or security group tag would be assigned as discussed. Both the wired and wireless networks can be configured to use Access Manager as the authentication method. For wireless clients to get evaluated against these access rules, you need to configure an SSID to use Access Manager as the authentication method. For wired clients, you need to configure an access policy that uses Access Manager as an authentication method and attach it to a switch port. To check this out, we'll go ahead and navigate to switching and then access policies. And here we will go ahead and click on the Access Manager-EAP-TTLS-Entra ID policy to take a look at the ports that it is configured on. In this access policy, Access Manager is selected as the authentication method, and the policy type is set to 802.1x. Now let's check if there are any endpoints that are authenticated and authorized using the policy. To do this, we'll navigate to network-wide and then clients. And probably many of you are familiar with this page if you used Meraki before. Here I'm going to type in Elijah McCoy at MerakiNation.com into the search bar so we can just bring up the user. And we can see that the wired client is connected to campus-SFO-IDF 3.1.2-MS390-24P, so a 24-port switch on port 4, and it has been authenticated using the username. Next, we will go ahead and click on port 4, which you can see highlighted there to view the details of the switch port. So let's take a quick look at what information you get from the port. We can see that it has been assigned to VLAN 10 as we hoped. The adaptive policy group or SGT tag is 18, which is also what we were looking for. And you can also see some additional pertinent information like the IP address, the MAC address, as well as some of the kind of at your fingertip tools, as well as kind of a historic data. Next, we're going to go ahead and trigger an endpoint reauthentication by clicking on the play icon next to the cycle port. This will essentially cause the port to reauthenticate and turn off and on again. And we can go ahead and see that the port has cycled. And we're going to go ahead and pop over to Access Manager and then Session Log to view the session details. And great, it looked like it worked like a charm. The endpoint has successfully reauthenticated and granted the desired secured network access. And this time the endpoint authenticated using the username and password against the Entra ID, which is integrated with Meraki, which is a great thing. And we'll click on the session real quick to explore some more of the details. So in conclusion, by leveraging the integrated identity provider services, Entra ID, in this case, Access Manager provides cloud-based secure network access control based on user identity, such as username and password. Together with adaptive policy, Cisco Networking delivers best-in-class secure networking access for any customer. And you can see, absolutely all that information that we were looking for is there on the right side, right at your fingertips, all set up. Via policy, no VLAN configuration or anything like that needed on the ports at all. So hopefully you found that use case interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for putting that demo together, Skylar. So in under 6 minutes, we've secured and managed an endpoint. If user set up and everything is ready to go. It's, in the moment can take a little bit longer than that, but really is an easy flow to get into that system. Now we have one more demo for you, and we have just enough time, I think, to squeeze this in. What are we going to see on the second demo, Skylar?
Thanks, Aaron. It's going to be pretty similar to the first scenario, but this time we're going to secure the endpoints using certificates rather than user password combination, so something a little more secure.
Excellent.
With this use case simulation, we will look at securing managed endpoints with certificate authentication, ETLS, with Entra ID lookup. Note that in this simulation, it doesn't cover the Entra ID lookup component as it's optional to the solution based because other radius-based solutions are acceptable. So we won't be covering it there, but there is information and documentation out there if you're interested on that part. But with that, we'll kind of continue. Traditional username password-based authentication has become increasingly vulnerable to sophisticated phishing and brute force attacks. To better protect your network, Cisco strongly recommends using a certificate-based authentication method for managed endpoints whenever possible. We will head to Access Manager and then the certificates page, which allows administrators to manage the certificates used in ETLS authentication process. This page contains the root certificate that goes on your device. You can see that up at top at the download radius CA certificates, as well as a location just below that to import the full PKI or private key infrastructure root CA certificate chain that was issued to your endpoint certificate. And then you can also see all the certificates listed there. We're going to click on the root CA to view the PKI root CA certificate that has been uploaded for this demo organization. You'll want to take note of the attributes. We will make use of them later in the demo. Specifically, we will use the attributes such as issuer organization Meraki to define the matching conditions for the access rules. Let's jump to the Access Manager and then the Access Rules page. Here we will focus on the EAP-TLS-certificate-SE rule. The rule needs to match both issuer organization and subject common name, which contain the user identity information from the endpoint certificate. In this case, Mary Anderson is part of our sales engineering team and should be granted proper network access based on their role. Based on their user's role, the endpoint should be assigned to the Adaptive Policy Group SGT19 employees SE VLAN on VLAN 10. Next, we will explore how to associate the access rule with the wireless infrastructure. We are headed to the wireless page and then the access control page next. As you can see here, essentially they created a dedicated SSID LP-E-TLS, which they configured for this demo. And I'm just going to scroll down. In this security section, Access Manager is selected as the security method for authentication and authorization. Let's take a look if there are any wireless endpoints connected to this SSID. We'll navigate to network-wide tab and then clients page. And let me just scroll up real quick. Notice that the client Mary Anderson wireless EAP-TLS has been authenticated and connected to the SSID LP-EAP-TLS. The client is properly authorized to VLAN 10 and assigned to security group tag 19, or adaptive policy group as it's listed there. Let's click on the client name and check out their page. So here we can essentially see the page. Let me scroll up a little bit. And if you're familiar with Meraki, you're probably pretty familiar with this page and all the various information that it provides. Right now we are going to go ahead and disconnect essentially, or click on disconnect to trigger a re-authentication of this wireless client. And I'm going to go ahead and click disconnect client. So where can administrators essentially gain insight into the authentication results of this endpoint success or failure from our forced re-authentication? Well, we'll go to Access Manager and then the session log. And great, it looks like the wireless endpoint has successfully authenticated using the certificate-based EAP-TLS method. Similar to the other use case, we'll click on the session log entry to view the detailed session information. So you can see it basically gives you all the information that you need and that it is properly authenticating and which rule that it is using in all the authentication and authorization results. In conclusion, certificate-based EAP-TLS authentication is the most secure method for managed endpoints, and Cisco strongly recommends its use whenever possible. Combined with adaptive policy, Cisco networking delivers end-to-end security from cloud-based network access control to micro-segmentation at the data plane. Hopefully this use case has been interesting and helpful to you. I'm going to go ahead and send it back to the studio. Thank you.
All right, thanks for that demo too. Excellent work there. Yeah, so two different certification methods depending on your specific use case. A lot of options to go around here. A few closing remarks here. We're going to move to a live Q&A, but I want to mention a couple things before we do that. So definitely stick around. Keep adding your questions. If you think of anything, we'll get through everything that we can. Anything we can't, we'll follow up with you after the event. Likewise, we are going to have a recording of this. If you go to dnh.com/solutionslab in a few days, it'll be available there, and you'll be able to have anybody on your team watch that if you found this interesting. As far as getting additional information, a couple teams you can reach out to. If you're one of our Canadian partners, you can hit up Cisco Canada at dnh.com, and they'll get you pointed in the right direction for more detail. And on the U.S. side, Cisco Specialist at dnh.com. And then we can help you there as well. For very technical stuff, that'll be my team. That's Cisco Engineering at DNH. And that hits Skylar and the rest of the crew that you see here. So again, thank you for joining. Let's move to Q&A now. We have some great questions in the hopper. And Jason, I'm going to start with you here. If I have an existing C9200L, can I migrate it to Meraki Managed like the C9300 models?
Awesome. Yes. This is actually a good thing I probably should have mentioned. Yes. So if anybody's had experience with the 9300s in the past and the way Meraki and Cisco handled them, there were options to migrate existing ones that you may have purchased with DNA originally over to Meraki Managed. So this is separate from just being able to view them in the dashboard, this is moving them to the Meraki management side, where then they would use the corresponding licenses to be managed on the dashboard, just like a regular Meraki switch. And the 9200Ls that are going to be available for that, if you had one in the past, there is a compatibility list, because I don't believe it's every single 9200L, but most of the ones that I showed today are on that list and should be, or all the ones I showed today are on that list and should be able to be migrated. And there's even a little promotion that I think if there's a certain amount of time left on your DNA license, there might be a way to convert that to a Meraki license to save you a little bit there. So if you need more information regarding that, feel free to reach out to our team and we can help get you situated.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Quick interjection, Larry. Quick shout out. Good to see you from Denver, and thanks for the kind words. And go Broncos. Mark, does unified licensing support previous gen products?
Great question, Aaron. Can you hear me okay? I want to make sure.
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, perfect. Yes, so it's a great question. Unfortunately, with our older products, it's not going to be able to support unified licensing. So our latest Wi-Fi 7, our latest Cisco 8000 secure routers, those are the newest and latest, greatest products that are going to support unified licensing. So any of your Wi-Fi 6, Wi-Fi 5 stuff would not be compatible.
All right. Can't have everything, I guess, but still not bad. Let's get one more question to you, and then we'll jump over to Skylar for one. But how do on-premises customers manage their unified licenses?
Another great one. So on-prem customers can continue to manage their licenses in Cisco Smart Software Manager, along with their DNA term licenses, and it also managed through their Meraki license portal.
All right, sounds good. Skylar, we'll hop over to you for a moment here. Can Access Manager be used with Systems Manager?
Thanks. That's a great question. Currently, that's kind of one of the caveats with it. It doesn't integrate directly. You certainly could use them together, but they don't integrate as natively as some of the other stuff, like Duo, which can integrate pretty natively. So that is one consideration. So it would make certificate deployment a little more painful, but it is on the roadmap and is coming down the pipeline.
All right, awesome. Kind of related, I actually don't know the answer to this. I don't think we're quite there yet, but we got a question of Access Manager and Cisco Duo. Can they be integrated? Either of you know on that one?
I believe so. It should be able to integrate with the Meraki single sign-on, and I believe Access Manager is a part of that. So it should be able to, but that's certainly something we can follow up with you on.
Nice. All right. Yeah, we'll do some digging there. Definitely a fresh project or fresh product to us. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Back to Mark. What are the software and licensing options for the Cisco 8000 series routers?
Another good one. So there are two distinct license and subscription options for routing and SD-WAN. So when we're specifically talking about routing, you have Routing Essentials and Advantage. A good thing about the Routing Essentials, it comes with the perpetual included with the hardware purchase. So that's routing. If you want to go with the SD-WAN license term, then that's going to require either a 12 or 284-month subscription, and it's management is all above, right? So you can still manage Catalyst Center, SD-WAN manage or Meraki, and on the SD-WAN side, and all SD-WAN license entitlements are subscription based with again 2 tiers: WAN Essentials, WAN Advantage. I hope that made sense. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, I think so. Now, the current Catalyst routers, they have some speed settings that you need to choose as part of the license purchase at the outset. Is that the same with the new secure routers? Are we having to, basically choose the speed that we want to hit with the thing?
I should have really mentioned this because that's really been a gripe with partners and customers. So we've eliminated our bandwidth tiering, right? So licenses for these next gen routers will not be segmented by bandwidth tiers. They're segmented to that kind of that t-shirt sizing, small, medium, large. So hopefully that makes your life a little easier. You do not need to worry about the bandwidth tiering any longer.
Beautiful. You get a hand clap from me and everyone else that has configured those. That's wonderful news. Let's see here. I want to jump around a little bit. How do we go about purchasing NFR units for demo purposes? Jason, what do you say on that one?
So I believe these will end up, there's kind of a twofold to this. If you want to work with our team directly to figure out what parts and products that you are looking to get, we can definitely help figure out and scope those out for you. But as far as requesting them, there is a direct link on Meraki's website for partners to request NFR, and then I believe it'll end up getting filtered over to our specialist team to help complete the process when it comes to actually completing that part and moving into purchasing. You'll need a deal set up for NFR, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, indeed. And you'll want to be a select level partner, and there's a couple easy ways to get there. If you're just a registered partner at this point, we can help you get there. And then in February, and everything switches up with Partner 360 and their new program, there'll be a little bit different setup. And it's fortunately the first level enables NFR when that rolls out next year. But we're here to help with that too. So let us know if anything like that comes on. Let's see. Mark, this is a great one since you've joined us here. Will features from Cisco's recent 2025 purchases of SnapAttack and Splunk, both very big purchases made by Cisco, are they going to be integrated in the Cisco Meraki hardware lines or add-on software service options? What's that look like from the inside?
That is such a good question. I'm hoping I'm not giving away any secret sauce here, or any.
We'll be very quiet
on this. All right, perfect. So, yes, I'll give you some forward-looking statements here. So, how we have unified licensing from Meraki and EN, we're going to be following that same methodology with security and collaboration. Yes, Splunk will be included with all of our networking appliances. There will be an integration point. I just don't know if it's going to be, if you need a license, or if it's going to be on by default, or if there's going to be some kind of tier. That is still yet to be determined. But think about the unified licensing that we just came out with. All of the architecture is going to have that, and each architecture has an integration point. And this is all around our Cisco One story. So we are really trying really hard to integrate and coordinate all the architectures and have a very similar procurement, administrative management methodology with all of our products.
All right. Yeah, early days for that one, for sure. Skylar, is there a cost associated with the AI agent?
Oh, great question. Not currently. It's in beta. Long term, I would say it'll more than likely be associated with advanced licensing. Although I could be wrong about that, but I know they're trying to add some additional features to that. So I would assume probably either MX or MR, or MR, MX, and MS advanced licensing will potentially be needed for it, but nothing currently, and I think it's not planned for a rollout for another few months, so you should be able to use it for quite a while for free.
Beautiful. Love it. Let's do, last question here. We're just a little bit over, so we'll kind of wrap things up, but great question. If I need help learning about Cisco 360, you have resources for that? And yes, we do. We have our business development team that's working very actively on that with our partners. Reach out to driven@dnh.com, and they can help get you going. There's a lot of good resources in the Black Belt training modules. Those are free to use a partner. If you haven't used them, there's a lot of hardware detail, software detail, and training about partner programs available there. But then our BDM team, they can help you out as well, and help find a program that fits into your partner needs and how you want to access and consume Cisco and resell it. So a really good resource with them. You're in very good hands when you reach out to them. But yeah, so we'll call that good. I want to thank everybody for your wonderful questions. Thank you for joining us today on this beautiful autumn day. And we look forward to seeing you again. I expect probably around January, February, we'll be back again with some more content. And we'll see you soon. Thanks again. And thank you to my fellow presenters.